You're listening to an Airwave Media Podcast.
Feel like who art ed?
We'll try to slice it.
Who art ed? Mr. Wood art ed me.
Good. Either way, it's ambiguous. It works on so many levels.
I know.
That's off to a great start.
Welcome to Who Arted, Weekly Art History for All Ages. I'm your host, Kyle Wood, and today I've got a TLDR mini episode about Peter Max. Peter Max is a German-American artist best known for his vibrant psychedelic artwork. He was born Peter Max Finkelstein on October 19, 1937, in Berlin, Germany. His family fled the Nazi regime in 1938. They spent years moving around the world, including a 10-year stay in Shanghai, China, followed by time in Tibet, Israel, and Paris. These global environments exposed Max to various artistic traditions ranging from Chinese calligraphy to Fauvism. This eclectic background would heavily influence his later artistic development. In 1953, his family immigrated to the United States, settling in Brooklyn, New York. Max studied at the Art Students League of New York. He learned anatomy and traditional realism under Frank J. Riley. But despite this classical training, Max became fascinated by commercial art, graphic design, and the emerging space age. In 1962, he co-founded a graphic design studio that quickly found success in book cover design, advertising, and corporate branding. Max developed his signature cosmic 60s style with bold outlines, a highly saturated color palette, and whimsical stars, planets, and smiling faces. Max's art was the rare case that worked both as commercial graphic design and fine art. He made mass-market consumer products and major institutional commissions. His art has been featured on everything from United States postage stamps to apparel, household items, and the sides of commercial airplanes. Over his multi-decade career, Max has served as an artist celebrating major global events, including the FIFA World Cup, the Grammy Awards, and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Now, here are 5 quick things to know about Peter Max. Number 1. Peter Max's cosmic 60s style was largely popularized through the mass production of commercial posters. During the late 1960s, Max capitalized on new industrial print technologies, specifically offset lithography, to mass-produce large-scale posters. These posters had vibrant fluorescent inks that reacted under the blacklights popular with young people at the time. By making his artwork affordable and widely available in poster format, Max bypassed traditional art galleries, so his art hung on the walls of millions of ordinary people's homes rather than just a few wealthy collectors. The commercial success of these posters turned Max into a household name and an icon of the counterculture. Between 1965 and 1970, his studio distributed millions of posters across the United States. This mass appeal attracted corporate clients, leading to lucrative licensing deals with major brands like General Electric, which manufactured Peter Max-designed clocks, and corporate entities that put his art on everything from cereal boxes to bed sheets. Number 2. Peter Max sees music as colors. Synesthesia is a condition where one sense triggers another. Peter Max experiences it as a connection between sound and sight. He literally sees colors when he listens to music. For Max, the auditory cues of harmonies and rhythms will actually trigger visual effects as he sees hues and flowing shapes. This sensory experience explains the harmonious yet intense color juxtapositions that define his signature style. When painting or designing graphics, Max selects and arranges hues based on the internal visual harmonies that the music playing in his studio produces for him. This relatively rare trait allowed him to intuitively navigate the complex color relationships of the psychedelic art movement. Number 3. Peter Max created celebrated portraits honoring 6 different U.S. presidents. Peter Max first established a White House connection during the Gerald Ford and Jimmy Carter administrations of the late 1970s. His vibrant, optimistic style was seen by organizers as a unique way to bring a modern, forward-looking energy to national celebrations. Following his early work for the White House, Max went on to create prominent tribute posters, official gallery installations, and vibrant portraits for 6 American presidents, including Gerald Ford, Jimmy Carter, Ronald Reagan, George H.W. Bush, Bill Clinton, and Barack Obama. His most famous presidential project was creating an installation of 100 colorful portraits of Bill Clinton surrounding his 1993 inauguration and cementing a tradition that spanned decades of American history. Number 4. Peter Max was commissioned to paint the fuselage of a Boeing 777 aircraft. In 1999, in anticipation of the new millennium, Peter Max was asked to scale up his art to fit a massive 209-foot-long commercial airliner dubbed the NYC 2000 ship. The artwork featured his signature cosmic imagery, including giant sunbursts, stars, and bright swoops of color wrapping around the body of the plane. The project required specialized weather-resistant aviation paints to make sure the vibrant colors would stay vibrant despite the extreme temperatures and atmospheric conditions experienced during high-altitude transatlantic flights. This project perfectly aligned with Max's lifelong fascination with transportation, flight, and the space age, transforming a standard piece of industrial engineering into a mobile public art installation. The painted aircraft traveled on major international routes, serving as a flying billboard for both Continental Airlines and Max's art up until 2008. And our 5th and final fun fact for today, Peter Max's series of Statue of Liberty paintings helped spark a national restoration campaign. The tradition started on July 4th, 1976, when Max was invited to the White House to paint the Statue of Liberty for the nation's bicentennial. Max, who came to America as an immigrant, viewed the statue as a deeply personal symbol of freedom, opportunity, and safety. He began an annual tradition of painting the statue's image. In the early 1980s, Max and his associates used this series to successfully lobby Chrysler chairman Lee Iacocca to help spearhead the official $350 million national restoration project for the deteriorating monument ahead of its 1986 centennial. For decades following, Max continued his practice of creating new interpretations of Lady Liberty around the 4th of July, eventually amassing hundreds of portraits. These paintings typically have thick, expressionistic brushstrokes and vivid color combinations, often focusing on tightly cropped compositions of the statue's face and crown. The ongoing series became one of the largest and most cohesive bodies of work in Max's entire portfolio. Now, I always like to focus on one specific piece, and in this case, I'm looking at his Love poster from 1970. In 1970, Peter Max published one of his most iconic and enduring graphic works, simply titled Love. It was created in his New York City studio for his highly successful poster book released that year. The Love poster was designed specifically for mass market, serving as a visual encapsulation of the peace movement. The composition has fluid lines and organic shapes filled with vibrant gradients. The central focal point has a face in profile looking back. The face looks serene. There appears to be a flower painted on a cheek, and the hair is a jumble of shapes leading the viewer's eye opposite the direction of the figure's gaze. The face seems to emerge out of a curved line as if it's coming from a void, and yet the curve of the line suggests a profile of a figure. I think this is a great example of how minimal lines and shapes can still suggest a full figure. The poster is titled Love for fairly obvious reasons. I mean, it's literally spelled out for us behind the figure in big, curvy letters. The font is somewhat irregular. It feels very hand-drawn and loose rather than the traditional tight, uniform printed text. The letters seem to almost melt and drip on the page as they drift and curve around each other. The color scheme creates a bold contrast. While the negative space is gradients of pink, orange, yellow, and green, the text is filled with cooler purples and blues, with a little hint of green coming at the bottom of the E. I really like that bit of green as it helps to unify the composition. The color fades to green at the top edge of the poster, and the bits of green at the bottom of the E and surrounding Peter Max's name at the bottom of the poster provide a nice little counterbalance. The love poster, like so many of his works, was created using offset lithography on paper with high-intensity fluorescent inks. We don't see traditional linear perspective or hatching to indicate shading. The lines are crisp and clean with uniform black ink barriers that isolate individual fields of color. The spatial relationships are established through the overlapping and side-by-side placement of contrasting color fields. While other contemporary artists used pop art to critique consumer culture or display some political irony, Max used his work more uncritically, just focusing on themes of peace, unity, and environmental appreciation. The purpose behind the work was just to spread love, to capture and reflect the euphoric optimism of the American youth movement. He wanted to create an easily digestible, joyful visual language that could act as an antidote to the political turbulence and international conflicts of the era. Ultimately, the Love poster from 1970 achieved widespread cultural saturation because it was so bright, positive, and deliberately designed to be accessible and enjoyable for everyone.
This concludes this week's episode of Who Arted, part of the Airwave Media Podcast Network. If you found this tolerable, please leave a rating or review on your favorite podcast app. You can find images of the work being discussed this week and every week on social media at Who Arted Podcast on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, and of course on the website whoartedpodcast.com. Podcast done.